If it's happening in New York, New Jersey, or Long Island, hear about it with Joe Piscopo. Mornings, 6 to 10 on AM 970. The Answer.
Portions of this show sponsored by Route 22 Nissan.
Piscopo in the morning, 728. Dr. Jeanne Zaino, professor of political science at Iona College and a senior advisor at the consulting firm Applied Techonomics. Jeanne, welcome back to the show. How are you this morning?
I am great. How are you doing?
Well, I'm a little disappointed because they said you were going to be live in the studio, but that's okay.
I am so. Listen, I lost all my contacts. I told Frank this whole story. He must be sleeping by now. I lost all my contacts.
What happened?
I didn't get them. This is so stupid. I had an extra email account, and I thought, I'll delete it. I deleted it like a month ago. 3/4 of my contacts are now gone.
I know. That always happens. Do you have an Apple? Is it an Apple device you have?
It's an iPhone.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm sorry. Tim Cook, for what they charge us for those iPhones, Tim Cook should show up personally and to find your lost contacts. I'm just saying.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you, because this has been so debilitating. So I'm so sick of when people message me. I say, I'm sorry, who are you? Yeah. And it sounds so stupid because they're like, it's me.
Yeah. You know, it's okay.
Like an idiot.
And to your point, Jeannie, it's okay to sign your texts. People say, if I got 1,000 Happy St. Joseph's Day, hey, Paisan, Happy St. Joseph's Day. I have no idea who you are, but thank you. I mean, what am I going to say? You know?
And by the way, Happy St. Joseph's Day.
Thank you, Jeannie. Yeah, that was it. We're keeping St. Joseph alive. You know,
No, and you know what? I used to laugh when my mom would sign her text. Like, she'd say, Mom.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, you don't have to sign a text. But to your point, now it's very helpful.
I know. Sign your text. It's okay. 729 with Dr. Zaino. Dr. Cynthia Nixon, what do you think of the Democratic primary against the formidable Governor Cuomo?
All I have to say is God bless Cynthia Nixon. This was such a snoozer of a race until she jumped in. So aren't you thrilled? I am so thrilled. I couldn't be happier. Zephyr Teachout is her treasurer. This is going to create more tension between Bill de Blasio and Governor Cuomo.
Yeah.
And, I had been talking to somebody a few days ago, and they were like, there's a race. Nobody knows who's running on the Republican side. Yeah. Nobody thinks there's much of a race. So I'm really happy she got in, and I'm hoping she's able to shake it up a bit. And, these polls would say, he's at like 1,020 and she's at 19.
Yeah.
Well, she hadn't even announced until yesterday. I'm not sure she's going to close the gap, but she is going to force him to have a discussion on issues that people care about in the Democratic Party, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, Frankie Five Boroughs was saying that exact same thing. I wonder, do you think Mayor de Blasio, they hunkered down with Cynthia Nixon, and he said, look, go after my nemesis? Yes. Why can't Italians get along? Jeannie, I'm just saying. De Blasio and Cuomo, forget about it. But I wonder if this Cynthia Nixon run was the brainstorm of Mayor de Blasio. Just a thought.
The brainstorm of de Blasio or Charlene McCray, one of them, they want to establish themselves as the leading voice of progressives in the nation, and they have to knock off Cuomo to do it first. And plus, as you mentioned, there's been so much tension. I do think, we know that she has been very close to him for a lot of years, and so I do think he had a hand in it. And the funniest part has been watching him struggle when people ask, are you going to support her openly? And he doesn't really have a good answer. And I don't know if he's going to do what he did with Hillary Clinton, which is like wait till the last minute.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
But, he's got a history of that.
Thanks for using the vernacular knock off and whacked, because that would have been more like...
I am half Italian, so and the half of Italian is Sicilian. So
look out!
Oh yeah. He's very scared.
Does being a celebrity, does it hurt in a Democratic race in the age of Donald Trump, Jeannie?
I don't think so. And this is a long history of this, right? You can go back to Ronald Reagan before. I don't think it hurts in the Democratic Party as long as you believe what Democrats believe. I think the only celebrities that Democrats attack are Republicans and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, I do think we're going to hear from the Republicans, likely if she was ever to make a go of this really, that she's not qualified, that, she's an actress, what qualifications does she have? But I do think that, just like anybody else who enters, whether you're a teacher or whether you're a celebrity, you've got to prove yourself during the campaign. And these are tough campaigns. So she's going to be asked tough questions. If she's not ready, I always look at, God bless her, but I always look at what happened with Carolyn Kennedy. She had that seat handed to her, and she couldn't handle not even a tough, but a little bit of a campaign there.
Wow.
So,
good analogy. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be able to stand up, and you have to be able to talk about issues. We understand that she's been, having some, lessons, if you will, in terms of issues like transportation and others. So we'll have to see how she does. She has been active in politics as an activist for a long time, but there's a difference between being an activist, being a candidate, and then being a public official. And I should say, I do, as a political scientist, I do really wish we did focus a little bit more on expertise, because, you don't want a physician who's not trained. I don't think you want a politician who's not trained. But by the same token, that's what a democracy is.
Yeah, but how do you go against? And then I want to go to national politics before we let you go, Jeannie. We always appreciate your valuable take. Dr. Jeanne Zaino with Piscopo in the morning. Governor Cuomo, and I always speak on behalf of Governor. He's Italian. I love the Cuomo family, and I'm guilty as charged. People will call me, tell me otherwise, including the guy sitting next to me, Frankie Five Boroughs, But he is, and I say this with respect and more of a compliment, he's a political animal. To go up against somebody as formidable as Governor Cuomo, there's no way she surfaces unless you think something unexpected could happen, Jeannie, you're seeing?
I don't know if he's going to, latch on a little bit to some of these corruption issues on the Piscopo trial. He might have some vulnerability there.
Yeah.
At this point, if you're a betting person, you have to say that she's going to probably do what Zephyr Teachout did, which is make his primary, his life uncomfortable until mid-September. She could also, in an interesting way, though, help him. She could help him shore up his progressive bona fides. Depending on how this gears itself out. But to your point, if something happens, and we've seen odd things happen, if she was able to get, Democrats are very, very energized at this point. If they were able to get a lot of progressives out in an otherwise sleepy primary, who knows what could happen. And, to a certain extent, even if she doesn't win, if she dents him a little bit, it makes his run tougher in 2020. And I think that's probably what he's focused on. He's probably focused on how this impacts his race in 2020.
How do the Democrats, now the progressives, you hit the nail on the head. It's progressive socialists. Do you think because after the Pennsylvania 18th, and with that Saccone race, and Lamb, what do you think I say this in a hopeful tone, Jeannie, I'm sorry. Do you think the Democrats are going to get more conservative and come to their senses? Or are they going to stay on that Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders socialist agenda?
No, I tell you exactly what they're going to do. In red districts like Pennsylvania 18, they are going to run as moderate conservatives like Lamb did. Yeah. Smartly, and in blue districts or blue states like ours, they are going to run to the left. And I think nationally, the momentum is all to the left. We saw that with Sanders, we've seen that with Warren, and I think that's where they're going to be in 2020. I don't think they're going to run to the center, and I think it's going to be a mistake. But of course, just like the Republicans, they have to get through these gauntlets of these primaries.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really tough out there to win a primary in a Democratic district if you don't run to the left, because this indivisible movement, these progressives on the ground, they are a formidable force. And I've talked to Democrats who have gone out there and said it is tough on the ground out there because they are taking no prisoners. So I think in the blue districts, they still run to the left.
Wow. Jeannie, you are just so brilliant. We so appreciate your valuable time. Dr. Jeanne Zaino, professor of political science at Iona College and senior advisor at the consulting firm Applied Techonomics. Jeannie, we'll see you next time, hopefully in studio. But thanks for taking the time. Always appreciate it.
I wish I was there. I hate doing it on the phone.
I'm going to get Tim Cook. Frankie's going to get Tim Cook on the phone. He will visit.
Help me.
House call from Apple to fix your phone, okay? Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you, Dr. Zaino.
Everybody knows this guy. No, everybody knows he can do a radio show. Joe Piscopo. Mornings, 6 to 10 on AM 970. The Answer.